So good evening, everyone. Elmer, can you start to present the book? And after we will ask Guillaume or to ask you some question or to say also why he has decided to select this book. So Elmer, please, you can go ahead.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. To begin, it's of course a great honor that Black in Rembrandt's Time has been nominated for Best Book in the Fine Arts category of this 10th edition of the Festival International du Livre, d'Art et du Film. And we'd like to thank the organizers for proceeding with this festival, despite these very difficult times when maybe art books and films are even more important than ever. And also thank you for offering the opportunity to present Black in Rembrandt's Time via the internet. I mean, it's a cliche by now to say that we'd much rather would have been together with you in a room and discuss this topic live. But although it's a cliche, it's true nonetheless. Despite all these setbacks, technology allows us to present the topic in this way. And I'd like to start showing a PowerPoint, for which reason I will start share screen, which takes a few seconds. And then I will continue the presentation. So, yeah, there we go. The subject of Black in Rembrandt's Time is the many ways in which Black people were depicted in Dutch paintings, prints, and drawings in the 17th century. It was an exhibition that lasted from March to September this year in the Rembrandt House Museum in Amsterdam. The exhibition was accompanied by a book with the same title, beautifully designed by Raoul Balay. If anything, the book and the exhibition are the result of a team effort. So my name is Elmer Kolfin and I teach art history and I do research at the University of Amsterdam, among others, about images of Africans in Dutch art. And I have the privilege today to introduce the book to you. The two members of the team are Stephanie Archangel, currently curator at the Rijksmuseum, and Epco Runia, head of collections and education of the Rembrandt House Museum. Together, we developed and executed the plan for the book and the exhibition, which took us on a journey of 4 years, during which we received generous support and encouragement from many people, both in and outside of the field of art history. Today, I would like to share with you the exciting experience of working on the project with this wonderful team. I will start by explaining the origins of the project in 2016. By situating the development of the project in the historiography of the topic, I will then introduce some of our main sources of inspiration, and finally, I shall summarize the most important findings of our collaborative research. In 2016, I got a phone call from Stephanie Archangel, who was working at the Rembrandt House Museum at that time, and who had come across this painting, Rembrandt's Two African Men, from 1661. The painting baffled her, as it had done with many before her. One proud, the other melancholic, and both strikingly lifelike and deeply human, these were not the Africans she knew from the dozens of other paintings, like this one, that show the conventional, submissive, almost monkey-like black boy who's completely dependent on and devoted to his white master. How should we understand Rembrandt's work in the context of the developing Dutch engagement in the transatlantic slave trade and the inherent racism of the 17th century Dutch society? How did images like this come about? Was it unique? The painting struck her because it gave her an experience she had heard about but had not previously felt for herself, that of sudden recognition of and identification with unknown historical persons who resemble yourself or your loved ones. Most of us experience this as a pleasant, warm, and somehow comforting feeling. It brings us close to history, and it makes history feel relevant for ourselves, here and now. Would it be possible to find more paintings that have this same effect? And could we organize them so that they transmit this to other viewers as well? When we found that for a short time between 1615 and 1660, black men and women became a relatively popular subject in Dutch and Flemish paintings, prints and drawings, we decided to make this the topic of a small but focused exhibition and book. The focus would be Rembrandt. Throughout his life, he demonstrated a deep, penetrating and continuous engagement with Africans in his art. Rembrandt, who had the reputation for working after direct observation, would have encountered his African models on the streets of Amsterdam. In fact, it had been known for quite some time that his near neighbors were a small group of 6 free black men and women. Rembrandt's painting of 2 Africans was not entirely unique. He and other artists clearly had the opportunity to study live models. However, recent studies of images of Africans in Dutch art show that before and after Rembrandt, quite different images dominated. Before Rembrandt, around 1600, Mannerist painters like Cornelis van Haarlem based their paintings of Africans entirely on the imagination. After Rembrandt, around 1700, painters increasingly catered to the demand for stereotypical images of caricatures of black servants with a slave collar that reduces them to dumb-witted animals. Paintings like these. These are the sort of pictures that would later evolve into the infamous blackface figure of Black Pete that the Dutch, I'm embarrassed to say, are still struggling to get rid of, and that's the image you see on the left, which is a contemporary photo. In any case, for the mapping of the development of African figures in Dutch art, several resources proved indispensable, the most inspiring one being the huge photo archive and the equally impressive book series, The Image of the Black in Western Art, that is now in London and Cambridge, US. As you may know, this project was initiated in Paris by the famous art collector and patron Dominique de Menil as l'image du noir dans l'art occidental, in response to racial segregation in the United States in the 1960s. Also inspiring were 3 exhibitions that in their own ways continued this legacy of Dominique de Menil and sought to shape current developments in the relation between blacks and whites in Western society. Black is Beautiful, here on the slide, was organized in Amsterdam in 2008, and it showed representations of Africans in Dutch art from circa 1400 to about 2000, with an almost exclusive focus on positive images of Africans. Although very successful, the exhibition, in which I myself was involved, was also rightly criticized for evading the debate about the complexity of positive images in an inherently racist context. It's a lesson we took to heart in Black in Rembrandt's time. 2012 saw revealing the African presence in Renaissance Europe, which presented Africans in European art from 1480 to 1600 in the Walters Art Gallery in Baltimore, the US. It showed us how the context of other images could increase the power of African portraits to stimulate feelings of identification, both for a black and a white audience. The broad scope of the Menil project and the two exhibitions prepared the way for a more focused presentation that would allow for more analysis and a deeper understanding of the special time in the Netherlands in the first half of the 17th century. A recent example, and this is the third exhibition that I want to briefly mention, a recent example of the penetrating effect of such a focus was the once-in-a-lifetime exhibition Le Modèle Noir de Géricault à Matisse, organized in Musée d'Orsay in 2019. Or to be more precise, the section that identified the models in the paintings of Manet and Matisse was that focus that we were looking for. It was very stimulating to see that this particular focus was really able to bring the sitters in the paintings to life. It clearly stimulated the audience to see the people behind the models with real lives, people with real lives, real troubles and real joys. This in turn facilitated the process of recognition and identification that we were looking for as well. Le Modèle Noir brings me finally to the results of our research as laid down in the book. Sometime before Le Modèle Noir, we already had invited the historian Marc Ponte to join our team. I already explained that it was known that Rembrandt had some black neighbors who may recur in some of his work. But Marc has investigated the Amsterdam archives from the 17th century systematically and found dozens of free Africans living in Rembrandt's neighborhood. Marc uncovered their social and family connections and sometimes found details about their life. Most seem to have arrived in Amsterdam directly from Africa or via Dutch Brazil, not as slaves or servants, but as free men and women, working on the Dutch ships that sailed the Atlantic. Some married with Dutch wives or men and got mixed-race children. Although poor, some were literate and aware of the laws that prohibited slavery on Dutch soil. Marc did not only give them lives, but also names. And I show you a page from the book with some of them. Serafina of Angola, Manuel Fernando Francesco of Congo, Peter Brown, Leonora Fonseca. To me at least, knowing their names is very moving, and seeing these in large, bold letters at the heart of the book is nothing less than a tribute, and I hope that you've noticed Raoul Balai's beautiful, deceptively simple design that gives these people a real presence. But back to the results. The one thing that Marc could not do, or any of us, is to connect these names to the faces in the paintings. It remains a great frustration that we have names but no faces, and faces but no names, as the co-curator Stephanie aptly put it. In any case, Marc's research did give the anonymous Modèle Noir of the 17th century an identity that brought them closer to us. They too have become real people with real troubles and real joys. Of course, feelings of recognition and identification were made easier by the startling lifelikeness of the paintings, prints, and drawings. We now understood that the life studies, such as this one, were made possible by the great influx of black people via the Dutch transatlantic trade, but also via the immigration of the Jewish Flemish elite around 1620s, who brought their black servants with them to Holland. In his essay on Rembrandt, David de Wit has shown that this social development coincided with the artistic development of working after life, of which Rembrandt was the great champion. This created a new and more lifelike image of Africans that also found its way into many biblical and classical history scenes. My own essay highlights the many different roles Africans were assigned to and the functions of those imaginary identities in Dutch society. The paintings were luxury items, meant to decorate the walls of Dutch homes with pleasant memories of a great Dutch Empire, and feelings of luxury and greatness were conjured up in highly imaginative paintings of idyllic Brazilian plantations, elegant servants, or, such as this one, turbaned Mediterranean princes. Images that were far removed from actual slavery and from the impoverished conditions that many free blacks lived in Amsterdam. The essay of Stephanie Archangel demonstrates that as the Dutch engagement with the slave trade becomes more permanent and reaches a high point, or rather a low point, images of independent and proud Africans are gradually replaced by those that present them as uncivilized and dehumanized. She argues that this process of dehumanization was employed to rationalize the slave trade, slavery, and colonialism. This colonialism is also the reason why this image continued to dominate in Western art, culture, and society far into the 20th century. But finally, things began to change in the 1960s. In art history, this started in France with Dominique de Menil's initiative of l'image du noir dans l'art occidental, but black in Rembrandt's time is our contribution to this ongoing process of reflection, understanding, and change. We sincerely believe that it was necessary to make possible for a black and white audience to identify themselves with historical black models and to look beyond the stereotypes and racist images that have dominated our culture for so many centuries. They are a heritage from the past without a function in the present and in the future, other than to remind us of a view that we do not want to continue. But the past has also provided us with images that do have a positive function, here and now. It is these forgotten paintings, prints, and drawings that we wanted to uncover and present in all their complexity in Rembrandt's time. That is what I had to say to you today. So shall I stop share my screen?
Thank you very much. It was very complete and deep. Guillaume, would you like to add something? Would you have some question for Elmer?
Well, I'd like to say a few words. First of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone this afternoon and to say congratulations to Elmer and colleagues for this incredible and remarkable exhibition and book that they did. I was very sorry I missed the show. I was supposed to come to see the show because I work and live in the US in Fort Worth in Texas, and I had planned a trip to Europe. I eventually came to Europe, but COVID happened, and I have to fly back to the US, and I missed the opportunity to see this magnificent show. But I ordered the catalog online, and that's how I had a chance to read the so many remarkable texts that it contains. So, and I was very impressed by this team effort, and I was also very positively impressed by the, how can I say, I don't want to say only the rigor, but I think it's the best example I know of the way we should address those topics, right? It was before the Black Lives Matter movement in the US and then in the world. It's absolutely a perfect example of what art history should be for me right now. So something about the past, but something that is enlightening us in the present. And it's fascinating to bring back to life the multicultural society of Rembrandt's time, but it's also bringing back to light for the very first time all those people who were not only forgotten, they were forbidden in a way. And I totally agree with Elmer when he said that the double page with the names is a very moving one, because it's like a wall. It's a wall of shame, our shame, and it's a wall of glory, their glory at last. And well, for those various and additional reasons, a great subject, perfect method, and great. The graphic design is very daring, very punchy. I loved it. I think this book and its various authors deserve the prize of the FILAF. So I'm very happy and very honored to be with you to present and congratulate this book and its authors. So that's the only thing I wanted to say. And I don't know how do you want to proceed? Do you expect me to ask for?
Yes, if you have some question to ask.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as I missed the show, I also missed to see the reactions of the attendants, of the visitors. So I'd like to know a bit about the response that the exhibition got, and the catalog, obviously, the cause before and after the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes. Shall I stop share screen, or shall we just have this on the screen for now before I answer?
You're on the screen, it's okay.
Okay,
I'll
have this, which is much rather we'd see him than my face, which does not contribute much. So Guillaume, thanks very much for your support and your supportive words. And of course, yeah, it's an excellent question about the visitors. So let me again say that, of course, we started this way before Black Lives Matter became so urgent due to these very unfortunate events in the US that are really tragic. But in a way, it did give this exhibition even more urgency than it already had. The Rembrandt House is not a big museum, and that means that the rooms are quite small. So the exhibition was staged in 2 rooms, and the designers of the exhibition, together with us as curators, decided to make a portrait gallery for these people. So we had a number of these very lifelike, engaging images next to each other on the wall. And you'd basically, standing in the center of this room, you'd be surrounded by images of these powerful Black men and women. And although I have not seen this myself, one of my colleagues, Epco Runia, experienced a moment where one of the visitors actually responded very emotionally and started crying out of emotional response to these paintings. And that's maybe a very strong response, but in general, also from what I've seen and from what I've heard, is that people found these paintings very moving, and many people, and these were not only Black people, said that, oh, I know this man, or I know this boy, and then that would be an uncle, or maybe someone, a friend, or another relative, and so that's the experience that many people have, that when you see an old painting, you see there is something you recognize, although he's not entirely your father or whatever, but there's something you recognize, and these painters of the 17th century have captured that. But in one way or another, probably because we never show these paintings together in their full power, that got lost. And in this exhibition, we sort of, well, retrieved that, and people really noticed that. I also have to say that in a number of other artworks where you have the black figures in a very small and only part of an entire scene, where you really have to look for them, sometimes people did not see them and asked, like, where is the black person, or why is this print or painting in this show, which is a way to sort of point out that it was still a very white society in which and for which these paintings were produced. So you had this confrontation. On the one hand, you had these powerful images. On the other hand, you had these images in which you still have to look for the black person with a magnifying glass almost. But that is historical reality. That is what was produced at the time. And we really wanted to show both sides of this production. I think the overall response has been very, very positive. I have heard no one complain about the exhibition, and it was also sold out due to COVID, which of course didn't allow great masses of people in the rooms of the Rembrandt House. But as far as I understood from the Rembrandt House Museum, many days tickets were sold out. So it was well visited and well appreciated.
Something I really liked in the book is that the various essays didn't avoid the complexity of the topic and of the issues. Some of the black models, for instance, were involved in the slave trade, and so it's not only about the appearances; it's more about how this society worked and how much we need to understand this complexity. And I think that's exactly what history and art history can bring to society today, to understand a bit more how to address the issues of the past and of the present. So I think that's a very important asset of this exhibition. It was not binary at all. It was very, very smart and very well done, and it really shifted our eyes, especially for the portrait section, from tronies to real portraits, from a pattern to real individuals, and that is something new, and that's why I think this exhibition is exceptional, because I know it through the book, but the book and the exhibition are exceptional because it actually changed you. You're not the same person before you visited the exhibition or you read the book, and it really changed you, your eyes, and what you're going to do in the world, because you won't have the same approach to art and to people after this show. And I'm so proud as an art historian that art history can do that and can be proved to be that. So again, congratulations. And I just have one more question about a painting I didn't see in the catalog. It's the very distinct image from the Museum of Strasbourg. It's a rape scene by Christian van Kovenberg. I don't know if you know it. I guess you do.
Yeah.
My question is, you didn't want to add another layer of complexity, or I mean, why this painting is not either reproduced in the catalog or present in the show?
Yeah.
And I can share my screen if the audience want to see what the painting is like. I don't know how to do that.
Yes.
But I have it here.
Is it on or?
It's on my screen. Should I do something?
Well, let me just describe the painting
Right.
while you try to conjure up the image. It's a painting, of course, that I know and that we discussed heavily. It shows an interior, a bit shabby, cheap interior, with a bed, and on that bed sits a man, and he has he's partly dressed, and he has a black woman on his lap.
The number of the page on the catalog, do you remember?
It's So it's not in the catalog. It's not in our catalog. And then next to them is another man who is pointing at this couple and laughing, and the woman is in evident great stress. So it's a horrible painting, and it's actually the only painting that I know in Dutch art that depicts a rape, a real terrible rape, and the woman is terrified. So that's the painting. There are several complexities about this painting, and to make matters worse, maybe it probably is a scene from a comedy, from a theater show. Although to date, no one has found the exact scene that this would match. And of course, this is not something to laugh at, but 17th century humor was quite different from ours. So we discussed this painting a lot and decided in the end not to have it in the exhibition because it detracts from what we wanted to present, the more powerful, empowering images of black persons. And then something quite trivial is also relevant. The painting is quite big and the rooms are quite small. So it would be, in the exhibition at least, it would really be in your face, and to such an extent that it would, in combination with this terrible subject, that it would probably shut the viewers down. It wouldn't. It's a painting that makes such an impact that you cannot think of anything else or see anything else in your mind's eye or in the exhibition itself for a long time after you've seen it. So it would sort of demand too much attention from the viewer and therefore lead away from what we wanted to say. So that is why it was not in the exhibition. It could have absolutely been in the book, probably in Stephanie's essay, where it's, she talks about dehumanization. And frankly, I can't remember why none of us imagined or remembered to include this painting in the book in some place. I think we sort of banished it from our minds, but we knew it, of course, and it could have been in the book as an example of dehumanization, but then we did focus on paintings and prints and drawings that were actually also in the show. But it's a horrible painting. it's a shocking painting. Have you found it, or to show it online, or
Yes,
or not?
it's on my screen, and I'm sharing my screen, but it doesn't appear.
Guillaume,
Can't you see it?
No, it doesn't work. But never mind.
I'm sorry.
Could you?
I can send you the link.
Okay. Could you tell us also why you have chosen this book? Because it's a prize for the book also, and I'm not talking only about the subject, but the book itself.
Sorry, I'm lost. Well, I think the book puts together three different aspects that are important. One is a brilliant graphic design. I really liked it. It's a very interesting topic for art history, and it's a very topical issue of today. And the combination of those three facets made me want to have this this book nominated for the FILAF. I think those are my criteria.
So thank you, everyone. Maybe I will have just one more question for Elmer. I know that the museum Vite de Vite has to change his name. So could you explain us why?
Yes. This is it's part of a bigger movement throughout the world. Museum Vite de Vite, for those who do not know it, is or it's an art institution really. Focuses on modern and contemporary art, and it's in Rotterdam, in a street that's called the Witte de Wit Straat, and that's why it's called Witte de Wit, because of the street. However, the street is named after a person, Witte de Wit, who was one of the Dutch admirals who made, well, let's say who supported the Dutch colonial effort at the time, and who's actually who today maybe we would see as, at least partly see as, a war criminal. And of course, such a name for an institution that's against, that stands for everything that this person was not, did not find that this name was fitting anymore, and now they chose another one. So in a sense, it's the same as you know, asking questions and sometimes even removing statues from public space, statues of 17th or 18th or 19th century heroes in brackets that we now see in a different way and in a different light, and that no longer have the place to sort of remember they don't represent the society of today in a way they may have represented societies of the past. So in that debate, Witte de Wit has decided, or formally Witte de Wit has decided, to choose another name.
So the Maurits,
does that answer your question?
Yes, perfect. You know the new name?
Actually, it has escaped me. You know, I could look it up on internet, but anyone could do that as well. It escaped me.
Okay. So thank you very much, and congratulations again for this exhibition and this book. And if you don't have any more questions, I will say goodbye to you.
Okay. Well, goodbye. It was a privilege to present it, and we're really very honored that it was nominated. So thank you very much again.
Thank you, and goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We wish we were there with you.
Yeah, me too.
Next time, next year, in June.
Let's hope
next
so.
year, next year. And happy birthday, FILAF.
Bye-bye.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.